All right, welcome back to this week's Tesla Talk. A little bit different. It's actually Monday. I just got back from Chicago. I was supposed to run in the Big Ten 10K that they have every year, but I've got a knee issue going on, so that did not happen. So I'm pretty disappointed about that. It seemed like a great time. The weather was awesome. Did the Taste of Chicago. That was awesome. So I'm actually just was at the office, had to get my office laptop, heading to the airport as I have a conference in Austin. So flying to Austin here today. So I thought on my way to the airport, I would do my quick talk here. So work is going. The wealth management office just got started month of July. So numbers look good there, on pace. So that's all good. The spa. We've got positive membership so far early in July. I'm hoping to get through this. I got to go to Austin next week, or this coming Saturday. I'll work at the spa. I'm going to work with my manager, start looking at the P&Ls for last month. I want to do a monthly P&L review with her and member growth review and kind of look at numbers and make sure we're on pace for what we're shooting for. And so we're going to get that started as I kind of get back into the spa. We move through the summer and get into the fall. And right now we currently have a BOGO going on, buy one, get one. So that seems to be working good. I can see those sales coming through. So we just got a new therapist on board. We're looking to add an esthetician. We're looking to change some things up with the estheticians. So we got a lot of things going on. This talk, I want to do kind of the origin of MassageLuXe and how that came about. And it really starts back probably 10 years ago when actually our competitor, they are a competitor, Massage Envy, opened up, and my wife and I became members of Massage Envy. And we did that for several years. But the problem was my wife's a planner. So anytime she would go, she'd have an appointment, she kind of set the next appointment. So she was always kind of in the queue. Where I, at that time, my schedule was kind of all over the place. I would just, make an appointment. I would go to the appointment. They'd say, you want to set the next appointment? No, I'll just kind of call in or whatever. And as time went on, I could never get in. It'd be like a Tuesday or Wednesday, and I would call for a Sunday appointment because Sundays are usually kind of my freer day, and I could never get in. So I could never make an appointment. And remember, this was like in 2021. Yeah, the winter of 2021, I tried to make an appointment and couldn't get in. I sat down with my laptop and looked and my thought process is, okay, they've got too many members. It's a great business. It's membership based, it's subscription, it's recurring revenue model. I just started Googling a massage therapy franchises, and the one that kept popping up and I was reading good reviews on was MassageLuXe. Actually, they had you fill out a thing and I sent it in, and then they corresponded with me, and then they had what they call a Discovery Day in St. Louis. And Discovery Day is where you go in, it's a dog and pony show, right? You're in a room, all the departments are coming in, explaining what they do, marketing and business development, franchise development, the construction people, the CEO, he talks about the origins and things of that nature. So we did that full, and it was myself, my wife, and we had a great time. Really loved the people, really thought a lot of the franchise and what they were doing. At the time, they may have had maybe 80 units open across the country. And so we did that. We submitted a full application. It was good to go. Now we had an option. Okay, so this is important. And I talk about in my book, 28 Summers. You have to buy a territory. So you buy a franchise, you're basically buying the right to open in a certain area. And at the time you could buy one or you could buy three. And one was, I think 40 or 50,000, I think was the franchise fee, 45, something like that. To buy three, I think it was like 90. So my whole thought process going into this was we were either going to build 3 or 6. So this is important, 3 or 6. Buying one, just even though they would, again, I talk about it in my book about the car washes, but something told me to buy one. We had the money, we could have bought the rights to 3, but I just said, hey, sometimes I get over aggressive and I get like ahead of myself. We just bought one, and we actually did that in the spring. So we did the Dog and Pony Show, got approved in winter time. Had to get approval through the wealth management firm to do this because it's an outside business activity. It's a whole compliance thing. And then, we signed the paperwork, paid the money, bought the rights to the franchise there in Terre Haute. And so this was like late spring. In July of 2022, I got a referral on someone to be a manager. I interviewed her. Yeah, she wanted to do it. So we brought her on. So I started payroll. Again, this is summer 2022. Then she kind of was all over the place, and really we haven't even started anything. The spa gives you a list of things that have to be done. It's really good. You got to get with these suppliers. We got to do this, construction, blah, blah, blah. So at the same time, I was meeting with the builder, getting bids and things like that. This is COVID time. The bids were way out of whack. Construction costs were just through the roof. So really a bad time to build. It was about 30% higher than the franchise projected and what I was getting from other franchisees about their build outs. So my budget, and the bids were starting to come in, it was way low. So I was having to negotiate with the builder, and we were going back and forth. I did get it down a little bit, but it was still probably 20 to 25% above the historical costs of build out. And so we were going through that. I was handling all that, working with an architect in St. Louis, getting the plans built, finding real estate. So working with a real estate guy with Lux, working with the local realtor a good friend of mine. He had some different locations, but we landed on a spot that was actually just a minute from my current office where I'm working. And so I thought that was great, so I could be right there if something came up. Again, I've hired a manager, given her the list of things that have to be done. We gave her an office at one of my wife's dental practices so she could work out of there. And then she came to me and she quit. Didn't want to do it, had a family problem or something. And so then I got a lead on another person to be the manager. So I interviewed her, I hired her. Then my original manager came back to me and wanted to come back on board. She got her family stuff taken care of. And she was just like, this list is long. It's going to take a lot. You need 2 people, blah, blah, blah. So she convinced me. So I made her an assistant. I kept the one I just hired as manager. And those 2 were basically working to go through the worksheet of all the stuff that needed to be done. Now, granted, this is still like late July, early August. I got 2 people. Construction wasn't going to start till October. So I've got 2 people on payroll, no revenues coming in, 2 people on payroll. All right. So that was just basically coming out of my wife and I's checking account, savings, or whatever. So we signed the lease with the landlord to get the facility. October, the construction started. Obviously with construction, they give you a timeline, but they never meet the timeline. And we're having to correspond with Lux because there's computers that have to come in. There's branding that has to happen. We got to work with the city to get a license, got to work with the state to get approval. Then we have to start thinking about hiring therapists because that's important. So all this stuff is going on. I'm delegating a lot to my a manager and assistant manager. Come to find out, the manager was working like 3 hours a day and then going home. I wasn't paying attention because I was working a full-time job, had my own practice that I was building. I was busy. I'm kind of one of those individuals that you hire someone and you give them tasks to do and you think everyone's going to do what they're supposed to do, but that's not the case. And so I didn't find this out till later, which really aggravated me. I was paying them for both of them for 40 hours a week, and they were basically doing 20 hours a week. Every time I think back, I just kind of cringe a little bit. We're kind of pushing things through, some stuff's happening, construction's going. And so basically the goal was get it open, get it started, get it to break even. And then I was gonna go to the next city. I was wanting to open one of these basically every year for 3 years or 6 years. Economies of scale, it's just a bigger business. And so hopefully more profits, things like that. And so we get through the winter, construction's going, a little bit of delays. We're finally getting close to opening. We're starting to hire employees. We're starting to hire therapists. We're starting to hire front desk people. We're getting them trained. Corporate is helping us with the training. I personally, along with my manager and assistant manager, had to go spend 2 weeks, 1 week in St. Louis, another week at another location training, working in the spas training. Now, I purposely stayed back in the training because I wasn't going to be there